I'm going to cover a few sites in Peru, mainly Ollantaytambo and Sacsayhuaman, and we're going to have a look at the walls, what they call the nubs. I've covered it in a video once before. I want to seal the deal on that one, specifically what I think it is, and lay out the evidence for why everybody else should start leaning that way. They won't, but that's what I'm just going to lay out. So we're above Sacsayhuaman here. Right, I'm going to zoom in on the left hand side. We can see from this image that there's three layers to this. There's actually one that's buried that you can't see from this top view. I'm showing it in a black and white image. There could be more, but we'll just take it as that. So on this left hand side here, if you look at I'm going to zoom into it, right, and you know when you've got a higher floor, you've got cross beams that you lay in cross sections to put your floorboards onto, or whatever your flooring is made out of. So that's what we're looking at there, right? We're not looking at a huge mound that these natives came and then built this site on. Okay, you can see from this image that it is indeed cross sections which will run under each of these layers. So there must have been 3 or 4 floors to this site, and it's petrified into what you see now. It's calcified. Now, sites like Sacsayhuaman and Ollantaytambo, I can't say it off my own back exactly just how high above sea level these sites are, right? But look, at some point we have to look into the theory of this mud flood. What do they mean by mud flood? From what I've seen, the few videos that I've managed to sit through, is that some kind of frequency shook free the soil below and everything sank in the mud. Well, what they're doing there is ignoring 50 odd world history stories from cultures across the entire world that speak of a flood of water. That's what we're looking at here. And when you've got sites thousands of feet above sea level that are completely buried, where archaeologists come across and they're having to clear the top sections of meters of, it's normally about 6 inches of silt, clay, and then everything below that is sand. That's come from flooding, people. I know I was showing you sites across the world that have been hit by volcanic ash, mud, but generally, you know, there's various sections of the world that suffered different catastrophes, right? But this mud flood thing, and another thing I've mentioned is the word Tartaria. I'm telling you, it means territory. That's all it means. Now, taking a look at this corner here, this has not been mirrored imaged, right? This is how it looks, and if you look on both sides of this corner section, they are almost exactly the same, or they would be if they wouldn't have cracked that way. And the reason why they've cracked slightly different, because they were built to mirror each side, right? Because what I think I've just been showing you there, I don't think, and even look, even though I've shown you various sections that have been put down with sandbags, I've shown you the actual corner imprints and how they were even kept in place, right, of the actual sacks. You know, sites are repurposed and refilled in, right? You know, there might not be many places where sandbags were used, but this cross corner piece here, the reason why it's the same on both sides is because what I think is that they built this wall by building some type of wooden frame, some type of inner structure, right? And then they smothered all this substance, whatever it is now, or whatever it was, or since hardened into, and it's natural cracking. It's been cracking along the structure itself, you know, the inner skeleton, where they smothered it into, or they were pouring it in down the walls itself. But most of it is natural cracking, which I will show you towards the end. I've just been showing you a few images from Ollantaytambo, which is also on top of a mountain. Mainstream archaeologists and the megalithic crew have got it down that they've been machining blocks to fit around the mountain edges themselves, you know, the rocks, the jagged edges, right? Now, which is ridiculous, people. Have a look at the left hand side, but the main image, part of the image I'm showing here is down on the right, because if you look, they're like in lats. There's something that covered over these blocks also. Obviously the what they call the nubs, were not for lifting these blocks into place because they're too heavy. Natural stone breaks, right? So if you were to make little tiny nubs like that, they would just snap off, right? It's calcification of this inner framework that ran through this stuff that's calcified into what it is now. That is what it is. You see areas like this across Peru and Egypt, right? And what these were, the explanations used to be, I don't know what they are now. I suppose it would be something mind-numbingly stupid. But they're not for standing in and praying in, are they? These aren't temples. The little square holes wouldn't be for placing a candle, would they? It would just blow out. I don't know what they are. Obviously, in my opinion, it is for some type of beaming, some type of girder to attach to something which is on the other side, if it's there or not. But I can't answer everything right with these blocks. Obviously, patterns like this, you would say, look, Mark, people would show me images like this and say, you need to rethink what you're saying about these blocks and how they were made, because there's images like this on the internet. Look, I can explain things in different ways. As even this one, right? I could easily say that something had this pattern that was up against this wall, and as it calcified, or it was under the ocean, like, you know, when things are on the bottom of the ocean, they form a crustacean. As it dries out, when you fetch it to the surface, it will turn into a rock almost. Or somebody just took something like a scalpel, right, and just carved these things out as they spread out this surfacing, because if you look on the top right hand side, it doesn't look too thick, does it? Some of it's fallen away. But this next image, this is probably more, this is more, but this next image, this is more than likely burning. There's been something hot that's fallen against this wall in the deep past. It's not melting of rock, for one thing, right? This was concrete. And if anybody wants to go out there and test for themselves what happens to limestone when you heat it up, it doesn't melt. It just blackens and crispens, and even then it takes something like brimstone, sulphur, to burn limestone, okay? But the type of heat that these people are talking about, right, if it was that hot on the surface of the earth, then everything would be dead. Every single living thing that exists now will be dead, including grass, right? I'll show you some more common sense here. Well, if you like that, ladies and gentlemen, and you want to help the channel moving forward, you can press on the link in a pinned comment, which will be in every video from now on. Thank you.